Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Irena's vow, based on a true story about a woman during the big war who hid Jewish people in order to stop the bad guys from Germany from getting them. But here's the twist, and this is based on a true story. She hid them in the house of one of the German officers. Crazy. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 13 available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So, this is nuts. I never heard this story. So, this is occupied Poland, and the woman was, like a lot of people in Poland, she was caught up in the war, and she was made, she was already helping Jewish people, trying to get away or hiding them and sending them food and whatnot. Then the war happens. This German officer occupies like someone's house, and it's like a big mansion. So in order to keep the 12 Jewish people alive, she hides them in his basement where she's working as a maid. She's forced to be his maid. And so they're hiding in the bad guys from Germany's house. That's pretty incredible. Oh my God, these credits. Who the hell could read these? Directed by, looks like Louise Archambault. God. I don't know where the screenplay credit is. Who the hell could read this? Why would you make the credits this small? I can't even read the actors' names. I don't recognize any of them, but yeah, I can't read that. You people, you're unbelievable. Who the hell could read that? Anyhow, so they were hiding in his, well, I shouldn't say his house. It wasn't his house. The house he appropriated. And they're hiding right in the cellar. So according to the Wikipedia entry anyway, what would happen is she was his maid, and while he was out, the 12 Jews hiding in his basement would come out and help her clean the house, and then go back into the basement, and she'd feed them and they'd be quiet. It's nuts. That's crazy. How long did they do that? But anyhow, eventually he discovers that they're hiding in his house. So rather than turn them all in, because I guess he'd be implicated too in some measure, he says to her he'll keep the secret as long as she'll be his mistress. So she does that for them. Wow, this woman. And she survives the war. Yeah. So then the Soviets came in, because Poland ended up under Soviet occupation, and she escaped. Well, first she was in some sort of camp, and then she escaped. Then she ended up marrying a UN worker and then coming to America. So that's quite a story. It's called Irena's vow because it was her vow to help people. I never heard this story. That's pretty incredible. So, I mean, this story also kind of writes itself, right? So the first act, you've got Poland, then the war comes. It's occupied. At first, I think she's trying to. I think she's working in a hospital of some kind. Anyhow, the war comes. She's caught up in it. She's helping Jewish people, but then the bad guys from Germany really roll in, and then she gets the idea of hiding the Jews in the basement of this big house, because it's just the German officer in this large house, and he wouldn't even use the basement, right? Like, he wouldn't even go in there. Look how big the house is. So she hides them in the house. And at first, I guess it kind of goes okay, but eventually he starts hearing them rattling around in the basement. And at some point he discovers them and loses his damn mind. But says, okay, I'll keep your secret, but you got to sleep with me. So she makes that sacrifice too. And then sleeps with the officer. And then we're in the second act at this point. I mean, this movie's nuts. So then at some point, I think the Germans discover they're in the house. And then they roll in. But by that time, I guess the war's collapsing. And maybe the Germans have to leave or whatever. I don't know. They'll probably take some liberties with it. But it's still kind of a cool story, I gotta say. I wonder if they're going to follow her all the way to America. I assume they'll do like a credits roll thing where like, oh, eventually she married a UN worker and came to America. But wow, what an amazing story. I mean, they could have just shot her. They could have just shot them all. That would have been a mess. But she did it. Huh. Yeah, I think I'd see this one. Although, again, reading the history is usually more interesting, I find, these days. Here's the write-up. Follows the life of Polish nurse Irene Gut Opdyke. Opdyke was her married name. Irene Gut was her maiden name, who was awarded the Righteous Among the Nations Medal for showing remarkable courage in her attempts to save Polish Jews during World War II. I think she succeeded. I don't know. Maybe they caught them all at the end. But, yeah. So, this is what you need to do. I mean, for a story that takes place during the big war, I'll say, you need to have a different angle. And this is, I mean, a lot of these stories are true, but this is a very interesting angle. I mean, that they were hiding in the house. I mean, that's pretty intense. Yeah. Pretty intense. And you show the usual stuff where like how the bad guys from Germany were really bad, how they were just killing people for innocuous reasons, and yeah, they needed to hide. It's just amazing. All right, well, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more based takes. If you can find a more based take, I say take it. I will be at Nerdfest tomorrow, Sunday, from 10 to 4. And then after that, we'll be doing the live stream where we do it live. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.